remember to breathe. Okay. My first memory of Grandma Fitz was as a small child. She and Grandpa lived in a brick house with an A-frame entry. It had a long driveway with stairs cascading down and a garage in the back. That house held special memories of wonderful meals prepared by Grandma, surrounded by family, with the much-needed yellow and white pages from Portland to boost our position at the table. Grandma was in her early 60s then, with a full house of children and grandchildren. She always had enough love for each one to go around. Fast forward about 5 years, and Grandma and Grandpa's place in Florence was a wonderful retreat. Salty, misty morning walks around the park, on the beach, and yet again, love, laughter, and food filled the senses. I remember playing with my cousin Carissa on the deck with snails we'd picked up somewhere along our day's adventure, while Grandma was in the house fixing a mess of Grandpa's daily catch of perch from down at the docks. The afternoon wasn't complete without a trip to the park pool for a dip. A visit 10 years later, and I began to realize more than ever the beauty of the relationship that was ever growing between myself and Grandma. I found a CD one day with music from the 1940s and put it into play. Grandma's eyes lit with the memories of years gone by as I danced to the soul-filled tunes of her early 20s. As the years passed and visits with Grandma increased, we shared many stories of our life's adventures. Her trips to Toronto and New York with Grandpa, and my trips around the world. Grandma was always interested in where I'd been, what I had the pleasure of seeing, and of all the new technology affording such adventures. In Salem, on one of our occasional outings, I picked her up in my cute little sports car equipped with GPS, and she delighted in the amazement of such features. Not thinking much of her own amazement, she noted, "Boy, if my dad could see this." Grandma's favorite food for dining out was Chinese, and I found as many opportunities as one could to take her out and treat the woman who always saw that everyone else's needs were well fed. On many occasions, I would just drop by for a chat to see her, and she was always quick with a smile, looking perfectly put together, and with an inquiry of whether I was hungry. Sometimes we just sat and had a glass of wine to talk about her wonderful memories of growing up as one of 9 children. And in her words, we always ate dinner together, even on Sunday. One of her most treasured stories I recall was of her retelling the days of World War II when food was rationed and whipping cream was a luxury. After making one of her mother's finest pies, the family sat down to enjoy it. Only her brother Louis took his fork and with a smooth wave back and forth over the bare piece of pie, he eyed his mother with a sly grin as he expressed his thoughts on the missing whipping cream, and which her mother responded to simply with a grin. Grandma said they always had everything they needed and more, and that much love was shown. She recalled sharing beds with many of her sisters as they grew and in playing softball with Brother Harold and the neighborhood kids. When I asked her about when she learned to drive, she remarked again that her brother Louis was full of patience, and when she was about 16 years old, he taught her how to drive in a 1930s Graham Page. She remarked that her father never did learn how to drive, citing one incident of not being able to make it out of the garage without accident, and saying, "That's enough." Instead, she said he preferred the simplicity of the streetcar, which he would take both to and from his job with Myron Frank in the finance department in downtown Portland. Regardless of the length of day, she recalled that he was always happy when he came home at night. Grandma intrigued me with stories of her sisters, Barbara and Jerry, who at an early age joined the Queen of Angels convent to devote their lives to God. It intrigued me so much that I soon became a frequent visitor of Barbara's, or Sister Therese Marie as she was known. The busy hearts and hands of all the nuns was no small miracle. I distinctly remember a devoted group of women who loved to cook, who adored little children, and were overflowing with love and generosity as they were in their devotion to the Lord. There were walls filled in the basement leading to the kitchen with canned goods to fill the spirit with the love these nuns showed through their talented hands in cooking. And Sister Therese Marie was quite an artist with canvas and paint. While she nor Grandma were proud women, only very thankful in the grace of God that they had the talents to share with others. One of Grandma's greatest talents, aside from her gift for creating culinary masterpieces, was sewing. While she dreamt of being a concert pianist or a great singer, she turned her talents to the many masterpieces of fabric she created with great skill. I know she sewed many things for her children and continued to sew long into her 80s. One evening, I brought red velvet to her, and we worked for many hours, she far more than I, to hem the beautiful fabric into curtains. She knew right away that using a sewing machine would not suffice and that hems by hand were required. And she showed me the art of a perfect hem. One of Grandma's few jobs outside the home was raising a beautiful family was working in a fabric shop. While I'm sure her knowledge preceded any hands-on training she may have received, she certainly enjoyed the experience and spoke of it from time to time. Family was so very important to Grandma, and she was so filled with joy at each and every visit from the many of you now present. Family has and always will be most cherished for me as well, and Grandma's place in it was far more exceptional than I could have ever asked for in a loving grandparent. She was joyful, inquisitive, and wonderfully witty with many a phrase that required definition, and warm with love and laughter. Perhaps you may have heard a few of these phrases. For example, I got there by Shank's mare, meaning on my own legs by walking. Or her reference to being short by saying she had been cut off at the pockets. Recently, as Mom and I sat with her, Mom leaned in to ask her, "What's my name?" Grandma thought for a few moments and then plainly responded, "Puddin'-tane." I was perplexed and I looked at my mother for an answer when both she and Grandma chimed in unison, "Ask me again and I'll tell you the same." And then Grandma grinned with a sweet, sly smile, and we all shared a wonderful laugh at her ever-present wit. In her last hours, she was so full of life, love, and wit, I couldn't fathom how she'd soon not be here. She expressed her love for Joe, Grandpa Fitz, and how much she missed him. Something she has done since his passing in 1994. That unwavering devotion was but another inspiration to me that love, above all, can and does endure. I believe it to be God's greatest gift to us all. Grandma clearly had a very strong faith in God. She attended church daily when she could, prayed the rosary daily as well, and treated others with the grace and love of a true child of Christ. While she believed her virtue not as strong as that of her mother Amelia's, I know her devotion to God was her strength and always present in everything she was and everything she did. I have been immensely blessed to have been adopted by this family. To grow, love, and be loved by all, and to experience everything a family should be. Grandma Fitz was my guiding light, the measure by which all could be examined for what is right and good in this world. My tears are not tears for her so much as they are tears for me, as I will so greatly miss her presence in my life. However, the mark she made on the woman I am today will forever live within. I know without a doubt that she is with God, and God has a very special place for her to fill. And I know she is now doing just that without limitation of the body and filled with the grace of the Holy Spirit. I told her I loved her many times before I left for Denver in early March. But the trip back to Denver was fraught with feelings of great remorse for leaving her, knowing that time was running out. I had to go back. That I could be there to help with her care filled me with purpose, love, and the knowing feeling that I was exactly where I was supposed to be. We talked every day when her strength permitted, and I sat at her bedside when she slept. I touched her, I held her hands when she lay so very still, and she squeezed my hands back knowing I was there. When I could think of nothing else to say, I began to sing every show tune to her that I could think of. I had to laugh at myself more than once. as I forgot most of the lyrics. Throughout her journey, families streamed in to see her and express their love. She visibly delighted most in seeing the children, her great-grandchildren in particular. Her spark of life fully ignited when the little girls and boys drew near. While she could not speak, her love for children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren overflowed. Family really was so very important. We all have so much to learn and share with each other and these young children about the importance of family, previous generations, and the experiences that shaped our lives to give life to them now. We preserve their experiences and their presence in our lives by the memories and stories we share to honor them and love them with our remembrance. Family, love, and faith in God are what we have to share with one another. Grandma always demonstrated her finesse in these beautifully, and we delighted in her such that the chain of love between us all will never be broken. This family here today will ensure for generations to come that her spirit and memory will live on forever. Death is nothing at all. I have only slipped away into the next room. I am I, and you are you. Whatever we were to each other, that we still are. Call me by my old familiar name. Speak to me in the easy way which you always used. Wear no forced air of solemnity or sorrow. Laugh as we always laughed at the little jokes we enjoyed together. Play, smile, think of me, pray for me. Let my name be ever the household word that it always was. Let it be spoken without effort, without the trace of shadow on it. Life means all that it ever meant. It is the same as it ever was. There is absolutely